Host of the Candy Show on APTN. Candy Palmer joins us this afternoon. Candy, how are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Candy Show, its fifth season on APTN. Tell us about the show and how the idea of it came about.
I was a 14-year-old little girl in a little place called Point Lynam, New Brunswick. I could get one radio station if I had my transistor radio properly positioned. And sometimes on Saturday night, very, very scratchy, I could pick up new music on CBC TV. And I just dreamed of a day when I could access music in a greater way. And I thought, man, wouldn't it be cool if some of my favorite musicians could just be right here in my bedroom with me and play, and then we could talk after and they could sign my bedroom wall. And that's what I made happen. So the show is built on a replica of my high school bedroom. There's a big heart-shaped pink bed, and the bands play, and then they climb on the bed with me, and we have a chat, and then they sign my bedroom wall before they leave. So my 14-year-old dreams have all come true.
One of my favorite interviews of yours was inviting Susan Glukark on your big pink bed. That was kind of funny anyway.
Yes, and she was a little sheepish at first, you know. She's like, this isn't the usual thing that I do. But I thought she warmed up really nicely, so I really enjoyed that time with her for sure. And that aired last week, which was kind of a surreal week for me because I was guest hosting Q on CBC Radio, and I'm being considered as the permanent host there. So it was wild to be in the morning speaking to 3 million people via radio, and then that evening watch myself sitting in bed with Susan the Glue Card. It's pretty cool.
I mean, let's go back to Q for a second. That's right. The news broke on that last week. How cool would that be to have a full-time Aboriginal host on CBC Radio?
It would be pretty darn cool. And I got an email or a Facebook post from a woman from Six Nations who said that, she's a regular listener and that her kids were listening and what that meant for them to know that I was a Native woman on a show that big. And she said, I didn't have that as a kid, but now my kids are getting to have it. That was a pretty profound moment for me when I kind of just thought about that for a minute and thought, wow, thinking about my dad growing up in a tar paper lean-to and, didn't have a toothbrush till he joined the war. And here I am just chatting it out with 3 million people. It's pretty wild.
Candy, originally your aspirations were to get into law. I mean, how did that kind of transpire into comedy?
Well, I was, all about it. Graduated valedictorian of my class, 1999 from Dalhousie Law School. First Mi'kmaq person ever hired back in a private firm in Nova Scotia's history. Here's what I compare it to. It's like when you go out to a bar and you pick somebody up and it seems like a good idea at the time, and then the next morning you say to yourself, what did I do? I woke up in a corporate firm wondering if I was going to have to chew my arm off to get out. It just didn't suit me. So I just, life is short. You got to do what you've got to do. And I just said, you know what? I'm leaving the practice of law, and gosh darn it, I'm going to be a comedian. And at 32, I made that switch.
And no looking back.
No, it's been a fantastic ride so far.
The host of the Candy Show on APTN, Candy Palmer, joining us this afternoon. Candy, two of your passions in life, Native and gay rights. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that when I made that call home, it was kind of a funny call home when I left the practice of law because it was basically the family gathered around the phone, and I said, listen, I'm leaving my job at the firm. I'm going to stop being a lawyer, and I'm going to pursue stand-up comedy. And by the way, I broke up with my boyfriend. I'm gay. Goodbye. So it was a defining moment for me. And I think the whole thing that drew me to the law was trying to give voice to people that don't have a voice. I'm very into equality. I had somebody ask me a question recently because I tout myself as a feminist comic. And they said, so you don't like men? And I said, absolutely not. I've had great love affairs with men. I have 3 big, burly, manly men brothers who I love dearly, a father who I loved before he passed away. When I say I'm a feminist, it just means that I think that women should be paid equal money for equal pay. We should have equal voice. And the same thing as a Native person, the same thing as a gay person. I just think all human beings are created equal. And I just like to strive for that. So whether I'm giving a serious talk or I'm telling jokes, I try to do it from that perspective.
Well, you described the Candy Show as Oprah meets David Letterman, sprinkled with a little bit of candy.
Yeah.
It airs Tuesday nights on APTN. Candy Palmer, I appreciate you being on this afternoon.
The pleasure was all mine. Sending out glitter-covered candy kisses to all your listeners.